Hi YouTube friends, it's Trish here and welcome to my little corner of the internet. Take a look, it has been updated and upgraded and it's my own little corner in my own little chair. I'm here today to chat about The Bachelor Joey season, and full transparency, it has been quite some seasons that I haven't been watching. I think the last season that I did watch was Gabby and Rachel's season. Since then, I have watched people recap it on YouTube, but I haven't actually really been watching. But I did see clips of Joey on Charity's season, and I had been debating on coming back to this channel, which all the updates, as you can see, we're revamping. There's a new look. Yeah, so I thought I would hop back into actually watching The Bachelor. I hope you can't hear my tummy. It's growling. I'm on my lunch break. I'll like snack on something later. Anyway, I've just been debating. I'm coming back. And so I figured this was a good time to do it. So I watched the episode. I took some notes. I don't know exactly how this is going to go. I don't plan on doing a scene by scene breakdown, though I enjoy watching people talk about that. It's a lot to talk about if you go scene by scene, but I honestly took notes as if it is scene by scene, so we're about to find out what type of video this is going to be. I would recommend watching if you're not watching the show, which I get it. But if you're not watching the show, then I loved watching Your Mom and Dad podcast or the Dear Shandy podcast, because those two couples really break down sort of part by part, scene by scene, what happens, and I love their takes. And so I will be watching them after I film this. But today I'm just going to sort of go through the episode. This is night 1 of Joey's season. And yeah, let's chit chat and see what ends up happening. And do please comment down below. I want to hear the parts that you enjoy, the parts that were a little outrageous and ridiculous, because every season has those. So yeah, let's get into Joey's season. So let's see. First thoughts before watching last night's episode. Again, I didn't really watch Charity season, but I did watch people recap and talk about it, and I think I might have seen an episode, and if not, I definitely saw some clips. Joey seemed like a sweetheart, just kind, and yeah, he's such a cutie. And I honestly, when it got announced that he was the next Bachelor, I was thinking, oh my goodness, he's gonna get ripped to shreds by these girls, because the Bachelor seasons always end up being a little catty, a little dramatic. And honestly, before watching last night's episode, I was thinking, oh, I don't know if he's gonna be up for this, to really have this many girls over him. That's just unreal for anyone going into the situation, but especially when the drama bits are going to happen. Is he going to be able to handle being in the midst of that? Because usually the lead gets dragged in at some point. So yeah, I was a little worried, but honestly, my opinion might be changing slightly after last night's episode. Oh, I say last night because I watched it last night, but I rewatched this morning to take notes, because I watched with a girlfriend and we were chatting through the whole thing, so it was not really taking notes. But yeah, we'll see. We shall see. My opinion is changing a little bit, just because it does seem like, for the few things that happened in last night's episode, he was able to sort of go with the flow and actually kind of address it pretty well. So maybe he is more solid on the inside than I was thinking, because the little bit that we saw in Charity season, he just seemed so soft and, kind. And we'll see. So anyway, the beginning of the episode, it's sort of showing us how there's going to be a dramatic season ending, which, they sort of tease every season, like, oh, it's something that it's never happened before, or you're not going to believe this, or, whatever they end up saying. I don't know if I heard that so much this time, but I did watch an interview that he did with the podcast Chicks in the Office. I saw the small bit that they put in their trivia episode, so I didn't actually watch the greater actual interview, because I do believe they have also released something like that, so it's a longer bit. But over there, the clip that I did see, he was talking about how he actually has been told by producers that however his season ends hasn't happened yet, which I believe Joey's a 28th season, so that's a lot of seasons for something not having happened before, but sure, I guess. I mean, we'll see. It seems to be, so he's crying. There's a last rose sitting over there. There's a car driving away. Kind of makes you feel like he's going to pop the question to someone and they're going to say no, which would be insane if it got to that point where you're at the final two and you say no. But would be dramatic, and I could see producers trying to make sure that that happens so that, there's something dramatic to watch. So I don't know if that's the case and that's what happens. I mean, we'll watch and find out. The other thought I had was, it's not actually what they're trying to set it up as, and instead it's the runner up that he is saying goodbye to, and he's having a tough time with it, because most leads do, because they kind of usually fall in love with both, and it's really essentially trying to figure out which one is the actual I see my life with this person. So we'll see. So then it goes into showing him with his family. He has moved away from Hawaii and now lives in Philadelphia, I believe, which is apparently his hometown and is sort of where he grew up. So we see his mom and his dad and his sisters, which he is the middle child, all siblings, so good looking. How, like, wow, nice. A really good looking set of siblings. And he talks about, with his sisters, his fear going into this season is actually that his feelings will not be reciprocated, which I think we've heard from other leads and is a valid fear, I think, to really have going into this, especially when he has 32 women arriving, which is apparently the largest number that's happened. And I don't know, I'll trust their word for it. But yeah, to think that there's 32 people, but the possibility that you're going to fall for one or maybe multiple and they may not feel the same way. I mean, that is scary. So it gets brought up a few times, which makes you lean towards thinking, ugh, what if at the end he does propose and she says no? That would be really sad. So I hope not, but all right, so the limo entrances. The first one out of the limo is Lexi, and I've watched a whole bunch of people recap past contestants, other people to just enjoy the show. And a lot of people tend to think that, oh, the first one out of the limo is one to sort of keep your eye on, and I could see that happening. So I did make a list of some of the ladies, mainly trying to see like if the music changed in a certain way, if we saw a hometown package, um, especially like if family members are in there. So I'll like point out a few people. Lexi is the first one out. I believe she talks about how she's recently found out that she can't have kids, and so that's made it difficult for her to really enter into the dating world with that knowledge already in place. And yeah, that is hard, and my heart goes out to her, but hopefully, you know, she finds a partner that they'll figure that out together. And um just from first impressions, I liked her. So um we'll see what happens. Next that stood out was Maria, which she later on in the episode will stand out even more. But we see her hometown package just a little bit, and she seems sort of yeah, quirky and energetic and like blunt, I guess. So she'll be a fun one to watch. Let's see, there's Allison, who is, oh, this is part of the sister set. They're sisters. It's happened before, but before I think it was twins. So yeah, this is interesting. There's an elder sister, Lauren, she's 28, and a younger sister, Allison, she's 26. And they have two brothers as well. But anyway, these two are over here. They originally said they didn't want to tell anyone this first night, but that changes. They spill the beans eventually. And even mentioned that they have in the past dated the same guy. And I really almost want a clarification, like separately or together. Because for some reason, the way it was worded, I now have that question. I'm assuming separately. I mean, I have a sibling, and it's rare, but sometimes we crush on the same celebrity. So it could happen, I suppose, but uh, I don't know about actually dating the same person, and actively pursuing a relationship with the same guy. So, yeah. um, let's see. Kelsey T. All I wrote over here was it was a short and sweet meeting. That's all I really remember. And she pops up just a little bit throughout the episode. And I believe she is in the preview for the season. So I feel like she will become more of a player later on. But just off the bat right now, there was something really sweet about their meeting, I think is what stuck out to me. Um, and then there's Jen, who came on a go-kart, which was fun. And she pops up a few times and also pops up in the preview for the season. So highlighting her here. Jess comes in on a boat, which I didn't really get what reference was happening. Not that there was really much of a reference for the go-kart either. I think they just say something sort of punny. I don't remember the details, but she came in on a boat. I did think it was a cute moment for her to be like, help me down. I wonder if Jen also was like, help me out, because the go-kart's like really low to the ground and you're in this gown, and I wonder if she's wearing her heels. I definitely would be like, I need assistance getting out of this. Let's see, next there's Daisy. She was super sweet and cute. I could definitely see them together. It's adorable. She grew up on a Christmas farm, Christmas tree farm, sorry. Um, and she's soft spoken, very sweet, and apparently in sort of recent years, I'm assuming, has slowly been losing her hearing. And I'm not sure if it's just in one ear or if it's in both, but I know recently she got the cochlear implant in her left ear. And I think she's like a school teacher. They showed her like showing these kids, and you hear a kid saying it looks like a snake coming out of her ear. Um, but yeah, she seemed really sweet. So excited to see how that relationship will develop, because I feel like it's gonna be cute and adorable. And then last out of the limo is Leia, who Leia we saw in the when is the Bachelor announced? Is that after the final rose, I believe, is when that happens? Yeah, so he was announced and they pulled her out of the audience and was like, she is one of the contestants that's going to be vying for your attentions, and you actually get this advantage. I don't remember why she was picked or if she was picked, because in past seasons they did like a live voting thing. They introduced like 4 or 5 girls and we got to know them just a little bit, and then the audience voted online for who they wanted to have an advantage, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. But I don't believe that happened this time, so I don't know why Leia was chosen to get this card, which she wasn't going to know what was in it. She wasn't allowed to open it until coming to the mansion, I believe. And when she stepped out of the limo, she did tell him that she wanted to open it together later, which she eventually doesn't end up actually doing. She opens it on her own, and what's inside crushes her, but we'll get to that. First, we have Joey's intro speech, which this one, I mean, I saw moments through the limo introductions where I was like, oh, okay, Joey's actually holding his own. It was the intro speech in particular where I was totally expecting to see nerves and jitters and a lot of and whatever, but he wasn't. I mean, that guy was cool as a cucumber and just like talked about how he was excited for this and he wants a marriage like his grandparents, and it was cute and to the point and sweet, and he was well spoken, and I was like, all right, go Joey. So the one-on-ones begin. And let's see, I'm just going to touch on a few of them. Jess, she was the one who came in on the boat. She feels very outspoken, outgoing. She definitely will eventually rub some of the girls the wrong way, because in her one-on-one, I got a little bit of, I mean, she immediately kind of started talking about his family and getting ready to meet them, and I was like, it feels a little soon. Like, maybe let's ask, you know, I don't know, like, just talk about how you're excited to be there, or something about you, but okay, you know, to each their own. And but she does say that I'll notice this throughout the episode, the girls that he ends up kissing are usually ones that are really affirming and basically saying like, I'm here for you, or I'm here to support you, or like, you know, whatever it is, because she says something to that effect, and that's the first kiss. Because she says that she's here for him, and a couple of the girls will be like, if it was anyone else, I wasn't going to be here. So she then goes back to the room of ladies and ends up telling all of them that she's already had a kiss, and so now everyone's like, great, wonderful, fantastic, you got the first kiss. So Jess is gonna be rubbing everyone the wrong way, I think, this season. Next, there's Taylor. I call her Tinkerbell because she's got a cute little nose, and she was wearing that green dress, and I was just like, this girl looks like Tinkerbell. But it, in particular, they highlight how it really bothered her that she was telling everyone that she got the first kiss, essentially. So next I'll talk about Jen, who came in on the go-kart. They have a little bit of a go-kart off. It's not really a race, they're just sort of like go-karting around each other and stuff like that. So that was fun. And then they sit down to chat, and like I mentioned before, I mean, she's just sort of talks about how she is here for him, and I believe she mentioned she was part of the Peace Corps, which, wow, so impressive. And so yeah, she was like, I wasn't gonna leave something like that behind unless I really wanted to see if there was something there. So yep, she affirms that she's here for him and she's the second kiss. And then the next one to have a kiss is Daisy, who also, I mean, they're just so cute. And he talks about in his little confessional thingies that like her spokenness is drawing him in and sort of captivating him. And while they're talking, she says that, you know, no matter the outcome, she's gonna cheer him on, which leans him in for a kiss. I can't blame the guy. I mean, if your fear really is that your feelings might not be reciprocated, at least you're hearing from these handful of girls that, no, I'm here for you specifically, or I'm going to support you, and no matter what ends up happening, I hope it's a happy ride and a good outcome. And that would be really hard not to be like, oh, thank you, and, you know, really go in for the kiss because it's sweet. So anyway, I thought they were cute. Let's see. Jess is rubbing people the wrong way, just because I believe she continued sort of talking about the kiss, and then the first impression rose is brought in. I think she says something over here about it more in general terms, but the shot they have of all the ladies sitting on the couch just staring at her as she's saying this, collectively it looks like they just want to say, shut up. I don't want to hear it from you. So anyway, Taylor has her one-on-one, and we don't really hear much about it other than Jess coming to interrupt. So she's definitely coming to be that girl. And the first one to happen, I would assume that it happens often, especially that first night, because you're trying to get your time with him. But there were things about this that were a little bit like, girl, because she not only interrupts, she says that, yeah, you know, I know it's my second time, but our time was cut short earlier, so I'd really like to chat more, so is that okay? And Taylor's just like, no. And I think Jess asks her like, oh, like how much longer are you gonna talk to him? And so Taylor eventually is just like, okay, like give me another minute. And Jess does walk away, but she hovers basically right there. Like I think there's 3, maybe 4 steps, and she's right there. And I was like, that would put so much I think Taylor says this later on too, like that would put so much pressure on you sitting over there trying to continue a conversation, knowing that that person is standing right there just waiting for you to finish. And yeah, you wouldn't want to try to have a moment with him of any sort when someone is just over your shoulder. And so like this happens, and as Taylor gets up to leave, she's like, sorry, I don't mean to be that girl. Taylor doesn't say anything. She just keeps walking, which Jess talks about as she sits down with Joey. She's like, oh, I didn't expect her to not say anything to that. Like, I get that this isn't great, but like she's just trying to show him that she really does want to talk to him. She doesn't really care that like the girls will take it the wrong way, which she's able to say in front of him like that, but isn't able to say in front of the ladies later. And I just, if you're not trying to be that girl, then what are you doing? You know? So, yeah, you are trying to be that girl, because if it's not that, then what are you interrupting for? For an emergency? It doesn't seem like there's anything of like alertness to be going on, and Joey would not be the person you'd be approaching about that. It would be a producer. So yeah, you are being that girl. It's fine. It is what it is. Just own it. um so yeah, I mean, once she leaves, Taylor ends up pulling her aside, obviously, to chat about that. And over here, I'm a little confused because Jess sort of starts saying that no, she wasn't hovering, or no, she overheard part of their conversation, realized it was important, and so stood away to the side. And she's saying this as if like Taylor didn't have to tell her no, go away for a minute. So that was weird and confusing. And Jess herself says like, "Oh, I get it. Like it'll come back to me later." And then I think Taylor does nod and say, "Yeah, what comes around." And then Jess was like, "Okay, that sounded a little backhanded." And it's like, you're the one who began it. Like, you said that yourself. So okay, anyway, we continue on to the sisters, and they sort of establish both of them are interested in him. And I believe they go ahead and they tell the girls first. And I'm not sure what prompted that, because they went into the night saying that they weren't going to tell anyone that first night. They just wanted it to be like just normal, I guess. But they do. They tell the girls, and the girls are like, "Oh, okay." So that was, interesting. Lauren chats first. She's the oldest one. And she does lay it out there about experiencing a kiss with him, probably hoping that he was going to lean in and kiss her to see if they had that sort of chemistry. And there seems to be a pause, and he doesn't really do anything. And then her sister comes in at that moment and interrupts, which I wasn't expecting to happen. Yeah, I don't. Anyway, I can't imagine myself in this situation at all. But Allison, that's the younger sister's name. She comes and interrupts, so Lauren leaves, and Allison chats with him for a little bit and is saying sort of a similar story to what Lauren was saying, because they're siblings. So they grew up in the same place and also have like 3 other siblings. And she actually does get the kiss. He leans in and kisses her. And you hear a voiceover of him talking about recognizing the stories. And I hope that he was sort of figuring it out before Lauren comes back, and Allison just sort of laughs, and they scoot over and Lauren sits down, and they're like, "Yeah, so we may possibly be sisters." And I was just like, that's how you end up telling him? I can't imagine how Joey was actually feeling in that moment. I mean, he pulled it off really well, but can oh God. Can you actually just imagine, like, you're chatting to this girl, and seemingly it looks like there's not really a connection. But this other girl interrupts, and you start chatting with her, and you're feeling something, and so you kiss her. And then the other girl that was just here comes back. This new girl laughs nervously. You guys just move over because the new girl isn't leaving. And the other girl sits down, and then they're like, we're sisters. He handled it well. He was like, yeah, I kind of wondered because the stories were sort of similar, so I think I was catching on. I don't know if I really have anything else to say beyond that. That was just. I mean, we went from starting the night saying we're not telling anybody to then telling the girls to then telling him in the most like bombastic way possible, I feel. I mean, it's just so awkward. I would be so awkward. Mm. Now, Leia is having a hard time with this card. Everyone is so curious about what's in it. Most people are thinking that she's going to be able to have the opportunity to send someone home. And I was like, no, that's too far. It's not going to be something like that. I didn't know what it was going to be, but that's a little too far. So, anyway, she does end up reading this on her own before she actually has her one on one with him. And what's inside just really crushes her. And I feel so bad. I mean, so her advantage, which again, I don't understand why she has one to begin with. Why was she chosen out of all the 32 girls to have this advantage? Like, I don't. Did I miss that? Was that said in the after the final rose? If so, please tell me. Like, comment down below and tell me because I'm so curious. But anyway, I would also be crushed because she's gonna have the ability at any point from now until hometowns. So like it won't be able to happen after that, but from now until hometowns, she can take the place of someone else's one-on-one date. Yep, that's her superpower this season is she can just take that away from someone. And I mean, as she'll go to say when she does finally sit down with him and she's basically shaking and she's like, I don't want to take away from your autonomy, and I love and respect these ladies already enough to be like, they've put their lives on hold and are sacrificing so much to be here for an opportunity for this journey. And it feels horrible to play God and just sort of disrupt all of that. Which is exactly what I think I would be thinking in that moment. Like, I don't want to do this. And so he interjects over here and talks about how thoughtful and nice that is, and it's like really nice characteristics. It says something about her character that these are her thoughts after reading that card. And she then goes on to say, which this one I was just sort of like, wow, and she's young, she's 23 years old. For someone that young to be thinking ahead in this sort of way on the spot like that. I mean, who knows? Maybe she's had some time to really reflect on this before coming to sit and talk with him, but the way this played out was just really nice. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it, but she ends up telling him over here that, like, it's not gonna matter if she has all the advantages if at the end of the day she isn't Joey's person, which makes sense. I mean, she's just basically like, if I end up being the person that you end up with, it's not going to matter having these sorts of advantages at the end of the day. Like, I just would end up being your person, I guess. And someone else might be your person who doesn't have the advantages, and you would end up with that person, essentially, is like what I got from that. So, yeah, I just, that makes sense. And Anyway, I thought that in saying that, she was basically telling him that she wasn't going to use the advantage. So I don't know the timeline of what happened first, but the way the show edited it after this is when she goes and tells the ladies, and she's sort of like really charged up and emotional, probably scared out of her wits to admit this to the other ladies that, so yeah, I do have an advantage and it's quite a big one. So she's shaking and crying before she can even get the words out, and one of the girls, Lainey, in her confessional talks about how she was being dramatic, which from her point of view I can kind of see. Like, they don't know what's in the card yet, so it's, you're just seeing this girl sort of freaking out over seemingly an advantage that she has. Like, what is it that's making you so, just such a reaction? So on the one hand, I get it, but on the other hand, I just so feel for Leia in this moment that I'm like, no, you don't understand. um but and I guess at that point she hadn't really decided what she was going to do, even though from the conversation with Joey it really felt like she was going to be like, yeah, no, I don't need this because it doesn't really matter. But anyway, she's telling the girls and they're all like, whoa, like that's an advantage. And there's a moment, like a beat, and I feel like that was the end of the conversation. But then she does get up and walk away, and some of the girls sort of notice that she's walking towards the fire and she throws it in the fire. And the girls cheer. Some of them are like, wow, that's so noble. Some of them are like, someone's gonna be pulling that out of the fire. Which that was really funny. But anyway, so she won some points, I think, from the other ladies for doing that. And I was trying to think, if I were in the position, what would I do? Because it would really, like, morally crush me, as she was saying, to play God and essentially just be like, yeah, no, I'm gonna go on this one-on-one instead. But on the other hand, you are over here to see if you have a connection with Joey. You yourself have sacrificed, your time and energy and money to come over here for hopefully 2 months to figure out if this is a thing. Already, the Bachelor franchise and stuff like that, you don't get a lot of time with the lead actually before a proposal happens, and this is a proposal. And what if someone ends up going on to a one-on-one date and you feel like she's not here for the right reasons? Wouldn't that be really annoying to watch her go and spend an entire day with this man that, like, you really want to get to know more and foster a connection? And you were given this advantage. I don't know why, but you were. So count your lucky stars. I feel like I would hold on to it. I wouldn't guarantee that I would use it. I feel like it would really have to be a situation where I really got the feeling that someone is not actually into him, is here for the Instagram followers and the sponsorships and stuff that will happen later on. And I actually am interested in seeing if there's a connection over here. So yeah, I'm gonna take your one-on-one time. Sorry, not sorry. So yeah, I would hold on to the advantage card and maybe use it. Does that make me a bitch? I don't know. You tell me. So anyway, we continue on with the one-on-ones. Lexi, she talks about how she plays golf and she did other sports, I think, and she talks about really wanting to be a support for him through the journey, and if at any point he's just feeling overwhelmed, look across and like give her a nod and just know that she's there for him. So cue kiss. And let's see, Maria is hearing from everyone that they're kissing, and she's starting to feel like, I don't know if I really want to kiss this guy because he's kissing a lot of these girls over here, which, I mean, I was talking with my friend and was like, it's so funny how things have changed, because in the earlier seasons, you got 2, maybe 3 kisses on the first night, and now you get like 7 or more. And that's only the ones that they're showing us, right? So, anyway, just like, it is what it is at this point. I mean, I don't, that's easy for me to say here on my couch and not actually over there having to deal with it. So, I will also like say yes to that. But anyway, so when she gets her one-on-one time, she's trying so hard, I think, not to have the kiss. But they're talking, and pretty early on in the conversation, she does pause and she's like, oh my goodness, I just feel like you're staring into my soul right now, which some people really do have a, like, they say the eyes are the window to the soul, and it just feels like they're really just, my eyes are clear. I have like wiped it with Windex and you are seeing straight into my soul. And it's a little like alarming in a way, but also, oh my goodness, like you feel kind of special because you really feel like you have their attention and they're really listening to you. Which is a crazy situation to be in. So at that point, she's really trying to fight not to kiss this guy, but so anyway, it's funny because she's like, do you like horror movies? And he says that he does, which is like great for her. And then she immediately is just like, so what are your top 3 movies that you like? And then she like gives him shit for saying that he likes Remembering the Titans. But then she talks about like, I actually don't know the movie that she talked about, but I do think it's a well-known comedy movie, something about wedding crashers or something, or I don't know. And so then they have banter basically, because then he's just sort of like, you bring up that kind of movie and give me shit about Remembering the Titans. So that was cute. Then she talks about the Zodiac, and I'm like, wow, this girl's really trying hard not to have this kiss happen. Yeah, they sort of have this moment where they're looking at each other, and she just sort of like gives him a look because, yeah, come on now. So they lean into each other and they kiss. And I did find it interesting when she pulled away. She was like, I told myself I wasn't going to kiss you because you're kissing everyone else. And he apologizes for that. And this, I felt like, I mean, props to her for telling him that, because I wonder, like, she's feeling that. I think it's valid to voice that out. I just wonder how she voiced it out and if, like, how it was received on his end to hear it in that sort of way, because, you know, it kind of feels a little judgy. So, but they continue to kiss a little bit, so there's definitely something over there. He, in his confessional, talks about how, like, oh, she's a firecracker and she's gonna keep me on my toes, and yeah, I think so. Um, so anyway, for the first impression rose, Joey pulls Leia. So she ends up, you know, throwing away that advantage card, but she gets the first impression rose. So yay, snaps for her. And he talks about how it was just really a validation to him that she's here for the right reasons, especially for sort of what she said and what her thoughts were after reading the card. And he doesn't bring up her throwing in the fire, so I actually don't know if he knows that she's actually really just tossed that opportunity into the flames. But you see then sort of this girl, her name is Evelyn, 29 years old, and she is struggling. She's crying as he's walking away with Leia, because over here with the girls, she talks about how he hasn't even talked to everyone yet, so how does he know? I think is what she was saying. Which, valid point, but also like, I don't know, sometimes you have I thought Daisy was gonna get it, honestly, but sometimes you have a certain type of moment in a connection where it's like, it's hard to not only look past, but like not think about it a little bit throughout the night. Especially, I think, when you're having conversations, you're not really feeling it, because you're not gonna feel it with every person over there. That's just, there's definitely gonna be some that you're just like, oh, just, okay. I know that sounds mean, but come on, that's true. That's true. So anyway, but I understand the struggle. That would be difficult. In her, like, her own confessional, I think she's talking about how it's really difficult to sort of put yourself out there and be vulnerable and be over here for this. So yeah, this is only the first time of many times that we, from now on, will be seeing clips of her just really struggling. But Joey and Leia kiss. So yay. Anyway, so it's time for the rose ceremony, and Evelyn is now openly struggling in front of all the girls and talking about how she's just frustrated because she didn't get a chance to talk. Or I think the talking about the frustrated and not having a chance to talk was done with the producer, sort of in a stairwell. So, yeah. What else? So, as the rose ceremony starts and is going on, of course, cameras will pan to certain women in particular, and they'll sort of talk about and sort of ruminate and worry and rethink everything that they said or did, and yeah, that kind of stuff. And then they end up getting the rose, usually. So first up, Allison gets the rose. She's the younger sister. And actually, when she comes back, the elder sister, Lauren, is standing in front of her, and she tells her to go herself, which I thought was like a little much. And if she delivered the line in a different way, I could see it being haha, funny, funny in between sisters. But like, her sister didn't smile or anything, and actually looked a little taken aback. And you see a scene of all the girls looking at her after she said that. Don't know if that actually happened. But I would believe it. I would, like, what? That's harsh. And she's the older sister. I mean, wow. I mean, she's the one who I feel is struggling more out of the two sisters. At least that's what they're showing us, because she was talking about, like, oh, if she gets the first kiss, like, I'm gonna be really upset because I'm the older one, I should kiss him first. And then she gets interrupted by her younger sister, who does end up getting the first kiss out of the two of them. So yeah, she's not a happy camper, especially now that Allison got the first rose. Anyway, Taylor was really funny. She says it would be embarrassing if you did chat and you didn't get a rose. Like, nah. It's just like, oh no. That is true though. It was just really funny for her to say it. Of course, she ends up getting the rose. And oh, hold on, before she gets the rose. Maria gets the rose first, and she was like worrying leading up to it as well, but she walks up and immediately goes to hug him, and then kind of realizes and like steps back and is like, oh, not yet. So it was a funny, cute moment. She was definitely awkward in the little mistakes that she was sort of making in her. I mean, that would so be me. I would be so in my head and just sort of like dazed, but jumpy. I don't know the word I'm trying to think of over here, but yeah, it was funny and cute. So anyway, she ends up going back. Taylor gets called next that we see, and I mean, she immediately says something that they bleep out, and you can only imagine it's probably like, oh god, yes, or like, or yes, or I don't know. She says something that they bleep out. So that was that was really funny reaction. And then Lauren, the older sister, gets the final rose, And as she's walking towards him, she's like, "Oh, I see how it is. Like, you give Allison the first rose and give me the last rose. Like, wonderful." And I'm just like, you can already tell he likes the younger sister more. And I feel like Lauren's not helping her situation out any by continuing to be verging on antagonistic. I don't think it's going to go well for Lauren. But anyway, the producers are definitely having so much fun pitting the sisters against each other because, I mean, we don't really know that much about Allison other than she seems bubbly and like cute and stuff, but that's about it. And we're really honing in on Lauren's reactions to things. So yeah, the producers are going to try to keep them here as long as possible, and that's going to be annoying. But I feel this way every season. Like, I know that we need to have these dramatic moments and this pettiness and the judgmental like conversations and stuff because obviously we're here to watch the drama, but part of me is also like, oh, this is annoying. Can we get past this? Like, it's so ridiculous. Would people actually be acting like this? I don't know, but here I am still watching. um I'm not sure. And obviously, you need to go through all the stuff to see also the people who end up sticking around, how they react in those situations, and yeah, or whatever the show will show us. Because I do believe there's a past season where I think later on, maybe it was Bachelor Fan Take, I'm not sure who, but they had showed what the show edited and cropped, and then the cropped out portion that they had cropped out to show that the final pick did laugh in some sort of situation that was a little bit of feeling bullying-esque. So obviously the final pick didn't look to be in good light. So yeah. Okay. And poor Sandra, but I thought it was really funny. I mean, she didn't get a rose. It is getting to her. She's crying outside, and she's like, it is silly because, like, she doesn't know him or whatever, but she says she doesn't want to be a crying meme. Oh, this is so cute. And then next they show the preview for the upcoming season, and there's definitely going to be the regular foolishness that happens, just as I was talking about, like drama. There's going to be girls that don't get along, they're going to be fighting, they're going to be like going at each other. We do see John telling Jen during a one-on-one dinner that he's falling for her, and she says me too, but still. And it didn't seem to be a one-on-one late in the season, but it could have been. I mean, they definitely were traveling, but I got the sense that it was somewhat in the middle to end part of the season, so that's shocking. Usually, you know, it's the contestants that say that I'm falling for you, and then sometimes you get the lead saying like, yeah, me too, which really bites them in the butt later. So something that just popped out and sort of stuck with me, and then reiterating his fear of going into this and his feelings not being reciprocated. So in the last scene, they show a little bit more than what they showed at the beginning of the episode, and you hear Joey say, "This feels wrong," as the car is driving away. That does break my heart, because I don't know about you guys, but it's definitely happened for me. I mean, I've been online dating on and off for several years, and yeah, there's been a small handful of times where I'll meet a guy and really feel a connection, feel like it's mutual, but then suddenly it ends. or it just doesn't pan out, and you can't help but feel like, I don't know why this isn't working out, because I really feel like this would work out. Um, and I wonder if it is that Joey is proposing to someone and they say no and they are driving away and he's just watching that happen. I can imagine him saying, "This feels wrong." I mean, he was to the point where he was going to propose to someone. So it had to have felt mutual, because I feel like nowadays you're definitely having the conversations before a proposal, talking about marriage. So obviously, this is a completely different situation because it's a show and you don't have that much time together to really make an informed decision. But anyway, it's sad to see him crying. It's sad to see anyone crying. That's the tough part about watching this show. It really is, because for the lead especially, but I do feel like for a handful of people that go on to the show, sure, you're not there thinking, "Oh, I'm going to fall in love with this person," but I would assume that you're there thinking, "I am open to the possibility of that happening." I feel like if I went on the show, that's how I would be. Like, I am open to the possibility of falling in love with someone. And yeah, to be feeling heartbreak sucks. I recently felt it, so it's touching a little close to home. I don't really know how to end this. I mean, I'm excited for the season to continue. It is nice to be back and watching again. It's been really too long. I used to really enjoy watching these shows, but I took a little bit of a break. Not that I wasn't watching reality dating shows. I was watching Love is Blind and The Ultimatum and those kinds of things, which Love is Blind is coming out on February 14th, Valentine's Day. So I'm sure they're going to do it in batches again, like drop 3 or 4 episodes at a time. So I will be watching. I will be chatting about it. Most likely, I will be watching the 3 episodes or however many they drop, and then just talking in bulk about them. It's most likely how I'm gonna do it. So we'll see. But yeah, it's nice to be back. Joey's so handsome, by the way. Very attractive. He kind of looks like, I couldn't tell who he looks like a cross between. One is John Krasinski. He looks like a younger John Krasinski crossed with somebody else, and that person I can't figure out who it is. There was definitely a scene where he reacted to something and I was like, that's John Krasinski. so, um so anyway, really attractive guy, and seemingly a really good guy, gentleman, sweetheart, kind, empathetic, compassionate, listens. Like, it's all the things that a girl would want in a guy. All the things. So I really hope that he finds his person, and his person is matches that same energy, which seemingly it seems like it. I mean, all of the girls are beautiful, all of them, and a lot of them are just bubbly and cute and sweet, and those are the ones I tend to like gravitate towards loving. But then there are some that are sort of quirky and cool that I'm like, oh, you're really fun to watch. I don't know about this connection, but really fun to watch. So yeah, excited to see like Taylor moving forward, Maria moving forward. But off the bat, just from the first night, I feel like there was a connection between Daisy and him, and Jen and him. Jen is a go-kart girl, right? I get worried because there's Jess and there's Jen, and like they're two very different people. But anyway, I feel like yeah, I feel like Daisy, I feel like Jen, and I mean that it's just the first night. I feel like he's really touched by Leia. I don't know if that will translate into a romantic connection, and we'll just have to see. But he did give her the first impression rose, but a first impression rose can be for a multitude of reasons. So, you know, the reasons he was giving really just sounded like, you're a really good person, and I like that, and I want that in my life, which is like, that's great. Not exactly romantic, but you know, it's a start. Yeah. So excited to keep watching. If you enjoyed this, do please like and comment below. I really want to hear about like what you're thinking about the season thus far. I know we're only after night 1, but you know, a heck of a lot happened in night 1. And yeah, I'll be here next week as well after watching it. I'm watching on Hulu, so mine will be coming, like my videos will be coming out on Wednesdays. And or at least that's what I'm aiming for. We'll see. It's been a long time since I've sort of been in this space, but I hope you enjoyed. I had fun. So until next time, that's about it. Thanks. And I'll see you again. I'll work on this. Okay, bye.